Okay, this is chapter 6. We're going to go in depth concerning the circulatory system. So go ahead and review your objectives for this chapter. Okay, so the overview. The functions of the circulatory system are to carry oxygen and food to cells of the body. It also carries carbon dioxide and other wastes away from cells. It also assists in defending the body against disease. The main components are the cardiovascular and lymphatic systems. Alright, so the heart, major organ of the circulatory system. It is a four-chambered hollow muscular organ. It's surrounded by the pericardium, which is a thin fluid-filled sac. Be familiar with the layers of the heart: the epicardium, myocardium, and endocardium. Structure of the heart: there are four chambers, atria, a right and left atria, right and left ventricle. There are four valves: the AV, atrioventricular, tricuspid, bicuspid, and the semilunar. Pulmonary and aortic, whether it be the right or left. Alright, so still talking about structure of the heart. Ischemia is an inadequate supply of oxygen to tissue, often caused by partial obstruction of coronary attack. The myocardial infarction, otherwise known as the heart attack, caused by complete obstruction of coronary artery or prolonged ischemia. Alright, so the cardiac cycle is one complete contraction, the systole, and relaxing, the diastole of the heart. Lasts about 0.8 seconds. The electrical conduction system of the heart is made up of specialized cells that initiate and distribute electrical impulses. This is the sinoatrial, or the SA node, also commonly called the pacemaker. This is what initiates the electrical impulse. Alright, so function of a heart continued. We're going to talk about an electrocardiogram, an ECG. This is a graphic record of the heart's electrical activity during a cardiac cycle. Go ahead and review the rest of this slide and be familiar with that stuff. Okay, so the pulse is your palpable rhythmic throbbing caused by alternating expansion and contraction of an artery as blood passes through it. The blood pressure is the force exerted by blood on walls of blood vessels. You have systolic, which is the pressure in arteries during contraction of ventricles, and the diastolic, the arterial pressure during relaxation of ventricles. Alright, so these are some disorders of the heart and some of the diagnostic tests used in the lab to diagnose these disorders. These tests, of course, are the tests that will be run on the blood you guys are drawing. It doesn't list troponin on here, but troponin is another diagnostic test. In fact, it's probably the most used diagnostic test for a myocardial infarction. Alright, talking about the vascular system now. You have the pulmonary circulation. This is what carries blood from the right ventricle of the heart to lungs. Carbon dioxide is removed, oxygen is picked up. Systemic circulation carries oxygenated blood and nutrients from the left ventricle to the body cells. It also returns deoxygenated blood with carbon dioxide to the right atrium. Some structures of the vascular system. The arteries. These are the ones that carry the oxygenated blood away from heart to tissues. The arterioles. These are small branches of arteries that join capillaries. Veins are the structures that return deoxygenated blood from tissues to the heart. Capillaries are the microscopic one-cell thick vessels that connect arterioles and veins. So here's a diagram of the main arteries of the body and a diagram of the main veins of the body. Alright, blood vessel structure. Be sure you're familiar with the layers mentioned under there. The lumen is the internal space of a blood vessel through which the blood flows. The valves are membranous leaflets. These are what prevent backflow of blood. Your blood can only flow one way. So here's a diagram of those things just mentioned. And a diagram of vascular flow. Alright, so here's some vascular anatomy particular to phlebotomy. The antecubital fossa is the shallow depression in the arm anterior to and below the bend of the elbow. This is the area you will be drawing from the most. Site of major veins, and thus the first choice for venipuncture. H-shaped antecubital veins exist in 70% of the population, made up of the median cubital, cephalic, and basilic veins. And then there's the M-shaped antecubital veins. These are some disorders of the vascular system and some of the diagnostic tests used to diagnose these disorders. Alright, blood composition. Part of blood composition is plasma. It's 90% water. And the other things you see here. You have formed elements, the erythrocytes or the red blood cells, the most numerous cells in the body. They carry oxygen and carbon dioxide. You also have leukocytes, the white blood cells. These neutralize or destroy pathogens. You also have thrombocytes, or the platelets, which are essential to coagulation, or the stopping of bleeding. Blood type. There are obviously different types of blood. It's inherited from your biological parents, determined by presence or absence of antigens on surface of red blood cells. It contains or has the ability to develop antibodies directed at the opposite blood type, meaning that it will recognize other blood types as foreign antigens and thus potential pathogens, and your immune system will work to destroy those. This can result in a transfusion reaction when a patient gets a blood type that is not their own. Okay, so there's two big blood group systems, the ABO blood group system. You have four blood types, A, B, AB, and O. The two antigens, of course, are A and B. O-type blood simply means you don't have either A or B antigens. The RH blood group system, based on the D antigen, also called RH factor. You can be RH positive, meaning you do have the antigen, RH negative, meaning you lack the antigen. Compatibility test or cross-match is a major test done in blood bank. This test determines whether donor blood and recipient's blood are compatible, preventing a transfusion reaction. Blood specimens. These are things that will come from the draws that you do. You have the serum, which is the fluid portion of the blood remaining after clotting. It does not contain fibrinogen. Plasma is the fluid portion of whole blood separated from the RBCs, WBCs, and platelets, and it does contain fibrinogen. Lab tests are specific on whether you use serum or plasma. Plasma must be collected in an anticoagulant tube. Obviously, you don't want coagulation to occur or it will be serum. Whole blood is blood in the same form as it is in the bloodstream. It must be collected in an anticoagulant tube also. So here's an example of separated whole blood. You see the plasma on top, the buffy coat, which contains your WBCs and platelets, and the red blood cells will be at the bottom. So these are some disorders of the circulatory system and diagnostic tests done in the lab to help diagnose these disorders. Alright, hemostasis is the arrest or stoppage of bleeding after injury as a body response. Is ongoing daily in conjunction with vessel repair, and there's the process. Make sure you're familiar with that process. These are diagrams illustrating the process. Alright, coagulation factors and pathways. Coagulation factors are proteins required for coagulation. You have the extrinsic pathway, which occurs outside the bloodstream and initiates the coag process. You have the intrinsic pathway, which happens inside the bloodstream, produces thrombin on the surface of activated platelets. Alright, so what's the role of thrombin in coagulation? It is the enzyme that plays the major role in coagulation. And you can see other things that it does below. Alright, the hemostatic process in vivo, meaning inside the body. The vasoconstriction is the reduction in diameter of blood vessels, decreases blood flow past an injured area, and limits blood loss. The platelet plug formation and the secondary hemostatic plug formation. Fibrinolysis is the process by which fibrin is dissolved. These are some disorders in the process of coagulation, and diagnostic tests used to diagnose these disorders. The big ones, the ones most commonly done are the prothrombin or PT time, partial thromboplastin time PTT, and D-dimers. Alright, so just a little mention about the lymphatic system and its functions. It returns tissue fluid to the bloodstream and protects the body by removing microorganisms and impurities. It processes lymphocytes and delivers fats absorbed from small intestine to bloodstream. The structures are the lymph, which is the fluid, and then the vessels, ducts, and nodes. Alright, so this slide discusses the process of lymph flow, how it moves about the body. And then the final slide is disorders of the lymphatic system and diagnostic tests used to diagnose these disorders.